Hello, everyone, and welcome to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color.
I think if you have a creative or artistic side, there is a drive in you to create.
So everything that we created in person, we had to find a way to communicate that online.
You know, I've never told that story before, so you got something out of me that's new. That's kind of cool.
Everybody knows who you are, but can you tell me who you are?
Sure. I'm Peter Hurley. I'm a portrait photographer based in New York. I specialize in headshots mostly. I'm like known as the headshot guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've been shooting headshots since I started as a portrait photographer shooting models, and I was a model, so I started shooting my friends in 2000. In 2002, I said, oh my gosh, this actor's headshot thing in New York City is going wild. I better get involved. And then I just went down that path, and here I am 18 years later still doing it.
Now, but before that, you have an interesting story before that, and I only know a very small piece of it from what I was able to gather via the interwebs. But can you go into what your life was like a little bit before all of this headshot stuff happened?
Sure. Yeah, it was cool. It's a cool story. I was just talking the other day about this, that like, if you look at your life, like there's these chunks where a lot of stuff happens really short period of time. And then all of a sudden you find your way, and then everything stays kind of the same for a while. And I was like, wow, when I look back at this chunk of time between 1995, I'd say, and 2000, my life was just crazy with everything that was going on, and it put a camera in my hand. And then 2000 came, and I just was off as a photographer. But in 1993, I graduated from Boston University, and I was not a very good student, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I was a good sailor. I raced sailboats all my life, and I was pretty good. And the boat that I was sailing was entered into the Olympics for the 96 Olympics. So a bunch of my friends started training for the Olympics, and I was like, I got nothing to do. My dad trained for the 1968 Olympics. I'm going to train for the 1996 Olympics. He's going to support me. It's going to be great. Yeah. So he was like, all right, we'll do a fundraiser at the club. And yes, you know, you're living out my dream now, go for it. So, which was amazing to have that support. So I I ended up getting a van, putting a boat on top, traveled all over the country sailing, and I went from being ranked like 30th in the country when I started to being ranked 17th in the world. I made the United States sailing team my second time at bat in the Olympic trials in 2000. And after the Olympic trials were over, I picked up a camera. But what happened in the meantime was I was sailing up to this dock. I'm from New Jersey. I'm from Maniloking, New Jersey. And my neighbor had a friend who was a designer in New York, and I sailed up to this dock and I met her, and she's like, you gotta get some modeling going on. I was like, what? I wouldn't even know anything about it. She goes, it's all right. I'll get a photographer. We'll take some pictures. She goes, she worked for Donna Karan, and she's like, you need some sponsorship for this Olympic thing too. Let me help you out with that. So I was like, what? So I got sponsored by DKNY. I had it all over my sail. They gave me all the clothes. They gave me I had no, I was fresh out of college. I had no sense of style. And all of a sudden I got all these DKNY threads that I'm decked out in. It was so cool.
That's
and
unreal.
Then it was unreal. It was unreal. And this is like the thing about the power of people. Like I always look at it like the big turning points in life. I don't know about other people, but for me, it's always been a person. Like I've run into a person, and that person changed the trajectory of my life. This woman was Kagi Simonelli, and she got married to Kagi Bradford now, but huge impact on my life. And we got featured in the New York Times. Actually, it was a story about it, because what happened was she got me the sponsorship, and then she said, hey, my friend heard that Polo is looking for real sailors to model for them in this ad campaign. You got to go over to Polo today. And I was like this Jersey boy that never would come into the city. And I was like, all right, I'm going in the city. Went in the city, I met this designer, and they gave me the job. And I showed up on the job, and the photographer was Bruce Weber, who I didn't know. Right. I didn't know anything about photography or photographers, but Kagi was freaking out. She's like, you don't understand
who this guy is, right?
Yeah. And I talk so much. I don't even let a word in edgewise. I'm just talking. You started.
I will interject, and I will do my best to interrupt you politely whenever I can. But you're telling an amazing story. So you're getting photographed by Bruce Weber, and you don't know who Bruce Weber is.
No. And I knew, what the thing was. For some reason, Ralph Lauren was like, I grew up in the summer on the Jersey Shore and the winter in like West Jersey or whatever. And I was the preppy kid who I was wearing all the polo clothes. So I
Right.
was like new Ralph Lauren up the wazoo. I was like, oh boy, I used to go to the outlets all the time. So when I got the polo job, I was like, this is cool. I'm going to be a polo model. Oh,
Don't even have to go to the outlets anymore.
it's amazing. Oh my gosh. On set, they had these tents, and they had these huge tents. And they said every day we were there, they said, well, when you go home, just take as many clothes you want with you.
Huh,
And I was like afraid I should have gone like, but I took like, and the funny thing is they were samples. So a lot of them had like a hole. They went on samples.
Yeah.
They cut a hole in the back so you can't sell it or people don't steal it. And it's just a sample. So these were samples for the ad campaigns. So a lot of my shirts had hole. People still make fun of me when I wear them. I was like, it's just a hole in the back. It's no big deal. It's a sample. You know, it was cool. I got it for free on a photo shoot.
all my shirts have holes. Let me ask you this, because as you were talking, I didn't plan on this, but I wanted to know: it seems like if I was a cynic, I could look back on that part of your life, right, and I could say, oh, he got lucky here, and oh, he really fell into it here, and I'm the bitter guy looking at your story, and I'm like, oh, it's because of this and because of that and because of the other stuff. But how much of, let me ask it this way, there's a quote, but I can't think of the quote, and I'll butcher it if I even try to, but how much do you think of luck, right, as occurring when you're in the right place at the right time, not solely based on luck, but because you put yourself out there, right? Like things happened for you and maybe continue to happen for you. Maybe this is a theme in your life, that things happen for you because you put yourself into a position so that they may even occur in the first place. So that's not really luck.
Well, there's this saying that luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
That's
right?
it. That's the one. That's the one. Okay, good. You got it.
That's it. Excited
but isn't
about
that kind of like an encapsulation of like who you are and what your life has been like?
I think the truth of it is that it's based on, there's got to be some sort of belief behind it. Like if you're a negative Nelly, like I can't imagine good things just popping out of the blue to you. Know, I work my butt off with my camera, and I trained for the Olympics. I was working my butt off. Actually, when I was in college, my roommate, like I was like really, I guess I was kind of dorky in college. I don't know. But my roommate was this absolute stud rower dude. And the girls nicknamed him Adonis. So they would only, like, I had no action. I was like, they didn't want to pay any attention to me. They just wanted him. So they would come befend me just to get to that guy.
Oh,
so I was like, I was that guy. So I felt like this big, you know, I was like, I don't know, this is terrible. I mean, I still did okay, guys. Come on. But
okay. All right.
You know, this guy was like a different ball game. This guy was off the chart. So one day we were in Boston, and he goes, look, I think I'm going to try this modeling thing out. And his brother had been an Olympian. Like these people, this family was crazy. His brother had been an Olympian and a model as well. So he's like, all right, I want to try out this modeling thing. I got a guy's name. I'm going to go drive down to New York and walk into this modeling agency and see what they say. And I was like, okay. So I was from Jersey and I had a car. I was like, let's just go. Let's go. And I'll stop by my house or whatever. And we'll go into the city, and then I'll get to say hi to my parents, and then we'll drive back. So we get in there, and I just sat down and stayed away from the dude and didn't even think anything. And he just got shot down like you would not believe. The guy was like, no, sorry, this will never work out for you, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh, well, if he can't do it, there's no freaking way I'm good. I didn't get genetically blessed like that dude. So I have no shot. Right. And then it haphazardly happened. It was just weird. And lucky.
Yeah, lucky. You didn't plan on it. I think that's part of my point. Like you weren't even sailing in that direction, pardon the horrific pun that I just came up with. But it just happened to occur because you seem to me to be the type of person that's not afraid to put himself out there. right?
Well, I think that came with the territory. I think the version of me that you see now is not the version of me that I was then. I was definitely timid and shy and everything. And I broke out of that shell by being, out there on the circuit and speaking, getting up on stage and acting. So my modeling agent told me I should get in an acting class, and I got in the acting class, and they ask you just to slate your name, which is you just have to say your name on camera when you're going in for a commercial audition. I was taking a commercial class, and there were like 5-10 actors in the class. It was my first class, and I was like, they were like, okay, slate your name. And I was like, my name's I couldn't even say my name. I was so nervous. So I got through that, and I got into some acting class, but I sucked at acting because I was so nervous all the time, and I never had the balls to really be good at it. So now all those acting classes and stuff helped me come out of my shell as a speaker and as a teacher, and being on stage and being myself is easier. I'm much better at being myself than acting like some other human being that I'm not. That just never went over for me.
Is that really the trick? Like the acting piece was kind of what was getting in your way when you realized that I can just be who I am. Then nerves are gone?
Really. I think it's confidence is learned, is what I think.
Oh.
So whatever you're going for, like think about it. Whatever been the best at in your life, when you started doing whatever that was, you weren't confident, and then you became. It's like the best thing you did in your life. You're very confident. And now if somebody asks you to do that, you do it in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it. I think confidence is learning. We can learn it in anything that we do. So it was like I'm self-taught with the camera. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I pointed the camera at something, pressed the button, and I looked at pictures that I liked, and I tried to emulate them. And that was it.
So of all the stuff, though, that you could have done, why headshots?
Because I fell into it because I was an actor. So what happened was, I pick up the camera and I'm like, okay, let's point this at anything that I can get paid for. So, my first job was a friend of mine, and this was lucky too. This was really lucky. This was crazy. A friend of mine who I grew up sailing with was an art director at an ad agency, which I had no clue. But we talked. And she's like, you picked up a camera? I was like, yeah. She goes, show me some of your stuff. She goes, this is good. I'm going to hire you. I was like, what? And I picked up the camera in like June, and it was July of 2000. And she goes, here, I need you to shoot these sneakers. And I was like, okay. She goes, just shoot them in black and white. And then give me the negatives and we'll take it from there. And I was like, what? Okay. All right, I'll do it. She goes, yeah, just do it. So I put them on a table, and I put like a little backdrop or something. I put them in front of a window, and I shot the sneakers. I called Bruce too. Bruce was kind of mentoring me at the time. The reason why I picked up a camera was because he encouraged me to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
Bruce Weber also just happened to mentor you as well? Like that's just another tidbit of your story?
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing too.
I mean, we became friends. So I guess I should talk about my experience like shooting with him the first day. Like I'd never modeled before, except for that one little shoot I did with that photographer. Her name was Wendy Hammond. She took pictures of me with the DKNY stuff on. And then I got the Polo job. And then I show up on the set of Polo, and this guy's jumping around, and it's Bruce. And I didn't know anything. And I was out in my sailboat, and he just came up in a motorboat, and he just started talking to me. And where are you from? What are you doing? You're training for the Olympics. That's so cool. And I remember it, and I have those pictures, and it was just, he inspires me more than any other photographer. What I learned from him, I learned that if, as a model, people always say, well, how did the modeling help you with the photography? Well, the thing is that I'm aware of how crappy photographers direct. So if a photographer didn't direct me well, I was terrible. But if a photographer made me feel comfortable, I was great. And Bruce is a master at that. I mean, he's a genius. He comes up with he puts you in this scenario that just is fun and energetic. And I did Abercrombie and Fitch with him, and it was a blast. And he took my favorite picture ever taken of myself. And we became friends, and he encouraged me to pick up a camera. And after the Polo job, he sent me to an agency, and I walked in with all these Polo pictures, and my picture had gone worldwide by then, and it was out in all these magazines. And I walked in, and the agent said, you can never do print. No, you're not going to do it. It's not going to be good enough. Sorry, we can't help you. And I was like, I'm in magazines all over the world. What's the problem?
I've already done it.
I was like, how is this possible? I was like, that guy got shot down. Now I'm shot down. I've never told that story before. So you got something out of me that's new. That's kind of cool.
Oh.
So I call Bruce and I'm like, Bruce, the agency that you helped me get into, like, they don't like me. He goes, that's all right. I'll get somebody else. So he calls this other guy and this guy calls me up and he goes, I'll take you on. Let's go. We got to build your portfolio. And he sent me to Barcelona. And I went over to Barcelona. I started modeling over there. And then I went to Madrid and I modeled there. And then I got sent back to New York. And he said, nah, it's not going to work. So it was like a bunch of rejection. And then I went and I tried it. And then I got into acting. I tried going. It was not easy. It was anyway, long story short, I was the model, actor, bartender dude that pretty much couldn't rub two nickels together because I wasn't talented enough as an actor and I wasn't good looking enough as a model to make it, obviously, although I did do a lot of jobs, but not enough to make enough to live in New York without bartending. So I bartended till 4 a.m. and I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm so sick. I don't want to ever do this again. So I was like, I got to figure this out. And that's when I was like, okay, my friends that are photographers have a really cool job. Is it not? If any photographers listen, don't we have the coolest job in the world? I mean, it's the coolest job. Who has a cooler job than us? And I thought it was cool. I was like, they're cool. It's cool. I wouldn't mind that. Maybe I'd be good at it. I have no idea. And I was like, I'm going to try. And I was just to get out of the bar and that was it. So I just started shooting what I knew, which was my friends that were models. And then one of them one day said, hey, I'm acting. Can you do a headshot? And I was like, I think so. I just got to point the camera at you and you got to look into it and you got to be closer. So let's try that. And it worked out.
And that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
That was it.
One of the things that strikes me about you is that you have spent so much time on the other side of the camera, right? Like not a lot of photographers, it's certainly in our portion of the industry, have spent that much time on the other side. In fact, one of the like biggest pieces of advice that everyone gives everybody else is like, spend some time on the other side of the camera, get together as a group or have your friend come over and have them photograph you so you know what it's like on the other side. And so many people are reluctant to do that. I'm not a big fan of it myself, but you have already been there and done that 100,000 times. How much of that experience do you attribute to your success as a photographer behind the camera?
I feel like, well, first of all, just to start, I coach a lot of photographers and I tell them all they have to get in front of the camera. You got to feel, especially if you're a headshot photographer, you got to feel what's going on. You got to understand what your client's going through and you got to see how much it affects you when you're in there. Because, and I always say, look, if you ask your subject to do something, you better be able to do it yourself. So I teach a workshop called the Headshot Intensive, and on the second day, they all shoot a bunch of people, but then I do this thing called the Headshot Intensified, and that's a third extra day, and they shoot me. So, and I'm using everything from my past to do this. So I become like Joe the plumber. I act like I close my studio, and it's like 10 photographers, so one at a time, and I close my studio, and they walk in, and they set up their lights, and they use if I do it wherever I do it, I just close the studio and they get one light set up to choose. They get this, they get that. And then I close the door. I think up a name like, Enrique, the hairstylist or whatever. I come up with anything and I do it on the fly because it's more fun for me to make it up as I go. Right. And then I walk in and I tell them they got to treat me like they don't know me and I'm their client and I'm there for a personal branding session and I need a headshot. Yes. And then I see how they behave and I stay in character as long as I can till they really frustrate me. And then I become Peter and I blow up and then I go back to Enrique or Joe or Phil or,
whoever it is
or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, they get very interesting and I give them ammo. Like I try and become the weirdest guy that's strange so that they can come up with stuff. Like I'll be like, I make tchotchkes and I need a personal branding image because I want to put on the outside of the box. I want to put my face so that when people open the box, it's me and, dumb stuff. I'll be like I'm a baker and I'm going to stamp my face into the bread. So people see it before they cut it. And and then some photographers never use it. I'm like, I'm giving you ammo.
This is gold. This is gold, man.
So it's like you're supposed to find out about your client. And I mean, the minute somebody comes into my studio, most of the times I never meet them. I don't speak to them now because basically my assistant speaks to them, or they direct book through like Acuity Scheduling or something. So they walk in. I've never seen them. I've never met them. I don't know who they are.
Right.
I used to have consultations. I used to sit down. I used to be like, come on in, let's meet. And I was like, that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
That's like a crutch for them. Like if you're a good director, it's more challenging for me and more fun it's game on when a human walks into my space, because I'm like, okay, here we go, because I'm reading them left, right, and center in terms of how apprehensive they're going to be in front of the camera, what I feel I'm going to pick up on, and then I'm going to judge them, coach them accordingly. So it's different for everybody, and it's a lot of fun. It's become my work. My work is more based on feeling a vibe from people and figuring out which direction to go in my own brain without them knowing I'm doing it than anything else these days. And now I'm actually coaching on that, which is really cool.
So do you think that sense of spontaneity, or that on like piece of me just wants to call it, there's a little bit of risk in there. Do you think that that's an important piece of your style, or the way that you function relationally with whoever the client is? Or
what's interesting, when you get better, like I think that photographers never arrive like with direction. I think you can arrive maybe with the way you light, and maybe not lighting. So let's say camera, or you can arrive with, we know if you know every bell and whistle on whatever camera you're using, you can figure it out. You might have arrived. But like people say it takes 10,000 hours to master something. I've shot like 30,000 people. I've spent, I don't know how many thousands of hours photographing headshots, and I haven't mastered it. So I'm always looking for the next move, figuring out the next thing, trying to, and the people coming in don't even know. So what happens is, I had a guy in the other day, and he says, oh, I want this, and this. And I'm thinking, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, there's no way you're going to, and I read people. So I'm already like, you're not going to behave like that in front of the camera, but you want that, but it's not going to match your actions in front of your camera, in front of the camera, because you're a novice. So I know this, but they act like they play a big game, and then they get in front of the camera and their idea doesn't match what's coming out of their face or their body. So I'm like, are you aware that you look like a fish out of water in there? Like, my job is to coach people and to know about the expressions on the face. So that's what I do.
But what do you do when a guy like me comes in and says, you know what, here's this picture from Thelma and Louise. There's Brad Pitt in that cowboy hat. I brought a cowboy hat. Yeah, I want this. What are you going to say? I'm already
sizing you up. I'd take you. I like the human face. So I try and my brain starts clicking the minute I see somebody. And then I try and figure out how I'm going to key them, and if I'm going to kick them, and like what I'm going to do. And then direction wise, how I'm going to set them up. So if you've got a cowboy hat, I'm going to be like, all right, I got to get some light under that brim. And I got to see if I want hard shadows or not. You got the beard. Sure. I don't have to worry about the jawline too much. I got to see what I can do with you.
Well, good luck.
You look like you're a facially straight on your move. I don't know do you have a hair part? You don't have to take your hat off. Do you part your hair on one side or the other?
I don't do much to my hair. It goes where it wants to go.
It does. All right, go nose this way a little bit. Yeah, hold that. Talk so I can see you bigger.
I'm talking right now so that you can see me.
Oh yeah, no, that's not your side. You're right. Go back the other way.
Is this my side?
Stop it. Yeah, that's your side. Yeah, that's better.
Oh, I never knew that. I have a side.
You're good straight on, and then you're a righty. Yeah. Are you going towards your right? Are you flipped, or are we
no,
real?
Left. I'm flipped. I go to the left. So I'm looking.
Oh, that's your left shoulder. You're looking towards your left shoulder?
Yes.
So you're looking towards your left shoulder.
Yes.
Your left shoulder. So you're a righty.
Yeah, my right
this
side.
Is the right side
my
of the
right
face.
side of my
yeah,
face.
You're a righty. Yeah, you're a righty.
Didn't know it.
And 90% of the people, if they have a hair part, they part it on the same side as the side of their face that's good. That just happens spontaneously. I think it's just natural selection or something. I don't know.
Well, that in and of itself was fascinating. I never had anyone
tell me. On the other side, but the other side's much better. So my move when I get shot, because I model for years, is right here. Like I go right there. I'm good straight on. I'm okay this way, but look, I'm much better this way. I get the mic.
So
you got to know that. Like, there you go. Don't go crazy. That's too far.
I'm not a pro. I've done very little modeling.
There you go. You got a good look.
What Let me cover a
Yeah.
formality here real quick. What can we expect from you at the Portrait Masters 2020?
Oh my gosh. So the thing,
just a taste again, a little teaser.
First of all, I spoke at the first Portrait Masters. Sue invited me, and it was just awesome. Like I really wanted to deliver something special. And if anybody can watch that recording, it was just a talk that I'm very proud of. And Sue gave me the opportunity to do it. So it was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So to be asked back is awesome. So I was representing Canon in the Canon shootout. So I go up against, so we shot one model, and I go up against these amazing photographers who are super talented, and it's super it freaks you out. Like I don't like ever worry about the picture I'm going to take of the human, but when it's like, wait a minute, hold on, now it's the same human with amazingly ridiculously talented people. So yeah, I got worried about the human. So who knows? I did the best I could with her, and I'm proud of the shots. So they're pretty good. We'll see what happens. I'm sure everybody got good shots. They're just amazing photographers. So you guys are in for a treat.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting format. All right, let me end on this.
Yeah.
Nope, I got two things. They're related. Tell me about, is it Squinch?
Are we ending already?
Yeah, man, it's almost been a half hour.
Really? Is that how long they go?
Well, they're not very long, and I get tired and nervous, and I gotta take a nap. And
I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't know. I just met you through
you have
Zoom.
so much more to say.
I didn't know. I was enjoying every minute. I'm like ready to go. Come on, lay it on me. Lay it on.
Well, then tell me about. I do want to know about. Is it Squinched? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
I saw you talk about that from the stage one time. I was walking by. I'm going to the White House booth to work. And you're up there and you're talking about Squinch, and you're doing
yelling,
right? You're doing the thing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is that a James Dean thing? Where's it come from?
Yeah. I mean, that's basically it. So I modeled, and models used to talk about, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to look cool and stuff? And nobody said squint, like squint. But I was like, I was always kind of practicing, and nobody told me what to do. I never took a modeling. I don't know. So, but I remember when I picked up a camera that that moment that people look down the center of the lens, there becomes, when you're being recorded, most humans become uncertain because we don't know what our face looks like. Like our brain tries to tell us, but it doesn't know. It thinks it knows. This is my favorite thing. Favorite thing I've discovered since I've been shooting. Our brain will try and tell us what our face looks like, but it does not know. Otherwise, people would never make the faces they make. They would never do it. They'd never do it.
Is that the duck face thing where because with the squint thing, I was wondering.
I call it NEFA face, non-existent facial activity. So it looks like this. I'll take my glasses off so I can squinch too and show you. It's like this.
They think that they
just look like blank. They don't look like there's anything. So if you watch people, they squinch automatically. Like in life, our eyes just do that because that's how we communicate as humans. Like there's only 3 things you can change on your face, so you got to move them. And you'll also notice that people use their eyebrows a lot in life, but not in pictures, because it's one of the ways we communicate as humans. So I'm watching eyebrows and eyes before people get in front of my camera. The last thing that they can move is their mouth, and that's a whole different ball of wax, because mouths get out of control when you have to think about them and then control them yourself, because all of that is controlled subconsciously. Like nobody walks around going, oh, I'm walking down the street and that person looking at me, I have to pull the corners of my mouth toward my earlobes right now, so my mouth sort of forms a U and they get a more approachable look from me. Then you don't think like that. Like our brain just does it.
Right.
This happens. And now that you're in a mask, you smile and you got to squinch at people and use your brows more. So you got to be squinching and using brows more that you're in a mask than ever.
True.
Otherwise, they don't know what the heck's going on underneath there. I did a photo shoot. I did this thing, 10,000 headshots, where we shot, I had my headshot crew group shoot headshots of we were shooting 200 photographers all over the country, and we made everybody wear a mask and shot the first shot with the mask on. Then they took the mask off. You would not imagine, because what happens as a human being, your brain starts to, and especially as a photographer, your brain starts to conjure up what that person looks like underneath the mask, because that's what we do. We're shooting faces. And those masks came off and I was shocked. My brain was never right. It never looked the way I thought it was going to look. It was unbelievable. Really? It was really shocking. It was the most shocking thing of the day. I shot 38 people that day and I was like, whoa. every
time.
one of them. I was like, that's what's under there. Oh, no.
Mostly good, right?
Yeah, but just not what I thought. Like just some not so good. Some I was like, whoa, okay, what do I do with this? Then I can't figure out which side to go to. And I only got 5 minutes with them. So I was like, all right, I better be quick. Let's figure this out. Let's get them squinching. So squinching, what happens when people become uncertain? It's like deer in the headlights. They open their eyes wide.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I came up with squinching because I would say squint, and squinting is like if the sun's too bright, or
right,
if you're in a sandstorm in the Sahara Desert or something like that, that's squinting. Like
either one of those things. Yes.
It's protection. Squinting is for protection of your eyes. This isn't protection. This is for actually conveying something to an onlooker. So you have a palpebral ligament. It's underneath your eye, and it controls it's controlled by the orbicularis oculi with this muscle that goes around your eye. And what happens is in normal life, we use it all the time, but we don't know we're using it because it's subconsciously driven. But what we do in front of a camera is I coach my people to do it, which is to squinch, which is narrowing the distance between your lower eyelid and your pupil. So it brings your lower lids up, but your upper lids don't come down too far, so you don't look like you're squinching. So it's very subtle.
This whole time I'm trying it.
You got to practice in front of a mirror. You really got to do some mirror work on that.
So and
then you might be good. Yeah.
I feel like you don't want to overdo it.
I can't see you from here. I got to put my glasses back on. No, you don't want to overdo it. That's the problem, is that I teach it and then people overdo it and they don't understand it's a subtlety. So it's really, you have to photograph somebody, look at the picture that you took of them, and decide whether or not that feels like a human, genuine expression that you got, and it's something that you want to convey in your work. And if then if they're too squinchy, it falls flat with our feeling that we get out of the picture. You want a feeling from the picture. So if you over directed them, it's like over posing somebody. It looks so stale. It looks weird. I hate over I don't like the word pose at all. I'm never like that. I always position loosely. I don't like posing. A lot of photographers pose, and I get it, but it's not my thing. I just don't. I'd rather,
because you want it to look more natural.
Yeah, I always like the human to conjure up something that they're going to do, or catch them in a moment where they were doing something. It's like I shot a lot of kids over the course of my career, and the posing seems like the kid gets in front of my camera, and then the mother will stand up straight, smile. What are you doing? And I'm like, will you get at it? Leave me alone. Like, I want the kid to like be twiddling his hair and crossing his ankles and fiddling with the shirt and doing all sorts of stuff that I might capture. It's no different for adults. It's just you want them to come. When I modeled, it was like you trying to come up with something to team up with the photographer to give them something interesting. And it's not easy sometimes.
So you're working together, kind of. I get that. All right. Yeah. Then the last thing, what's shebang? I mean, for real, what is it?
So this is what happened. So one day I was shooting and I got a good picture and I said shaboom or something. I have it on video actually. And I said shaboom, and then I said shabam, and then somehow it turned into shebang when I got a good picture. So I did this thing called the art behind the headshot with the f-stoppers, and we put it out as a tutorial, and Lee from the f-stopper said, well, we need to get some publicity around this, and we know Scott Kelby, so why don't we Brad's his assistant, why don't we ask him if you can maybe you could do a guest post on Scott's blog. And I was like, okay. And they gave me Brad's email, and I emailed them, and he said, yeah, you can do a guest post. You can either write or do a video. I was like, I don't write. I'm not writing. And I don't do video either, but that seems easier. I'll do a video. So Lee said, do your number one tip, which is get your jawline out. Like, to make people look more attractive, you got to get them out of double chinsville. So you got to jam your forehead towards the camera. Mm-hmm. So I don't shoot people unless their forehead's jammed towards the camera. It just doesn't work. So that's what I did. So I did the video, and I did it myself on my iPhone. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I put it together. I put it on YouTube, and it freaking went viral. It went nuts. And at the end of the video, this girl's like got her chin back, and then she brings it out. I said, there it is, shebang. And then every time I play it on stage or something, people would crack up and yell shebang. So I started getting everybody yelling shebang all over the place. I rarely say it in the studio ever, and I stopped saying it for a while. And then this guy, one of the guys who had been helping me market myself, he's like, you can't, what are you doing? I was like, what? He goes, you can't. You haven't said shebang in a little bit.
It's like, you gotta bring back shebang. You gotta bring it back, man.
I have to yell something that I don't really say that much anymore. Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, so I just was like, all right, I'll do it. I got to work. Shebang.
I think that is the best. I didn't realize all the nuances surrounding shebang, but that is
I got a
fantastic.
button on my thing that I can press that does it for me.
Bang!
I mean, I knew of shebang and I associate that with you, but I didn't know all the stuff. And that is great that you stopped, because it just wasn't what you did at the time. And then you have somebody say, hey, you gotta start saying shebang again, man. We have
there's nobody else.
We have all this marketing
yelling, and we need to yell. Like, somebody needs to yell something. This might as well be shebang. All the other photographers that are teaching around me, I get them yelling. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, Hurley, will you stop with the shebang?" Nothing better to do.
Oh my goodness! You know what? Thank you for this. I'm tapping out. I appreciate your time.
I enjoyed it. I'm so glad George, mentioned you and got me in here. That's so cool.
Well, I'm glad you accepted it.
I have to say that you guys are always set up near the Canon stage, and you have great lights and stuff. So I'm always like using you as a background for my shooting off the stage. I got White House back there, and
that's all we want to do, man. We just want to help people out.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Thanks
Awesome.
again, and I look forward to what you're bringing to Portrait Masters this year, and I look forward to maybe getting to do this with you again. I'll reach out and we'll just see if we can make it happen, because I have a feeling there's a lot more under the hood.
I love it. I appreciate you having me on. I'm psyched for the Portrait Master. I hope everybody's going to enjoy it. If you guys want to get into headshot photography, check me out on headshotcrew.com.
Headshotcrew.com. That's what I was going to ask you. That's what it's called. Headshotcrew.com.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome. It was very cool. It's all about the interview. Like, this was one of my fun. This was the most fun I've had on one since I can remember. And it's all about that. It's like, if somebody, like, like I was talking to people about this Zoom thing, like one-on-one with somebody, like if somebody's flat, you don't get the energy going. Like, all the stories that you pulled out of me were because of your energy.
Oh,
and then on Zoom, when you're on these things, everybody's muted, and you don't even know if what you're saying is resonating. So everything's flatter than in public. So I'm coaching people on Zoom now. I'm actually doing a class on Zoom coaching for corporate, and it's been really interesting digging into this phenomenon, because it's so prevalent right now. And seeing this downplay of people's energy because of the computer screen has been amazing. So to be one-on-one with you and having you enjoying it was making my day. So thank you.
I had a ball. I had an absolute blast.
Cool.
You cracked me up the whole time.
Cool.
I hope I didn't mess it up for my editors.
No, I always say leave all that stuff in. It's the real stuff. It's so much fun.
All right. It will be relatively untouched. I get liquefied afterwards.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of glamour lighting.
Now you know your side, so
I do.
Definitely cheat it this way. Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Hey, man, have a great day. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Jed. See ya.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching this conversation presented by White House Custom Color on YouTube. Be sure to check out our other content and click that subscribe button right there. Right there. It's there somewhere.